today we're installing the Xpel armor trim for the Cybertruck doors. So this kind of goes below the fold or lower third of the doors. I'll show you on the truck in a second, but this is what the kit looks like. 8 pieces, quite a lot of material. And then you'll also get a squeegee and obviously the instructions and a link to this video. In terms of installation, pretty easy. Recommend doing this, as always with armor, if you can install it when the temperature is reasonable, so kind of, 70 plus or minus 10 degrees. That's a good time to install it. It gives it a little bit of flex, doesn't make it too tacky. If you go above 80, it gets very tacky. If you're below 60, then the material just doesn't stretch at all, and you sort of need a little bit of that for maneuverability once you're getting on the truck. So let's go take a look at it out here. You can see that it blends, sorry about the shadows, you can see that it blends really well with all the other trim, so the rocker trim, the wheel flares, but it really does kind of just add some extra dimension to the doors and the side of the truck. Looks very sharp. Obviously this is on a unwrapped truck. We had it on our wrapped version as well, which was a satin white, so it looks good either way, and it'll go over the top of a wrap, no problem at all. So with that said, we're going to go on the passenger side and get it installed over there. Okay, here we are outside in the truck. So I'm going to spray the truck's really clean. I've spent the last week literally removing a wrap, so it's probably never been cleaner, but just going to go over it real quick with some isopropyl alcohol just to make sure there's any residual dust on there. And if you can, get underneath as well, especially if you've never kind of cleaned the door jambs on your truck. Make sure those are clean, because we're going to wrap it under these edges and of course on each end as well. So be extra diligent there, because obviously you get a lot of crud build up here, and we want to make sure that the wrap stays wrapped. Okay. So we're on the passenger side. I'm going to start with section F, which is the front door. Then we'll come along to E, which is just the detail behind the front fender, and then G and H. So these are quite big pieces. The main trick is to try and prevent it sticking to itself when you peel it back. I don't recommend doing this outside. I'm just doing it for the lighting, so you don't want the breeze to catch it. But I'm just going to hold it at each end. And then we want to present it to the door, but try and prevent the bottom edge from sticking. So I'm kind of going in at 45 here just to get this top line lined up with the fold. So I'm looking obviously at the left end and the right end. That looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to bring my hand behind it, again just stopping it from sticking. Just kind of get that tacked in. I'm going to let that hang there while I go get the squeegee, which should have been in my pocket. And then we're just going to bring it down the middle. Okay, so now I've got that in place. I'm looking again to make sure that's well aligned. So I've got what I'm saying is about 8 or 9 mil at the ends here. I honestly don't know what that is in inches. Probably about maybe a third of an inch at each end, which is what we're going to wrap. And then obviously on this under the bottom edge as well. So let's get this finished off on the outside. Okay, so pay attention, make sure there's no trapped air, any air bubbles anywhere. I actually got lucky with this install, so I'm sure when I do the back door, I'll have some issues that I can show you how to get around. So do stay tuned for that. Okay, I'm going to open the door now. I'm going to wrap this edge first. So take the palm of your hand and just kind of apply a little bit of pressure to it. What this does, this is where you're going to get air trapped if you're not careful on this sort of trailing edge as you wrap it around. So you want a really nice tight fold on this. So just use the palm of your hand, kind of warm it up a little bit, and then we're just going to wrap it around. I'm putting quite a lot of effort into doing this. But you can see that is pretty good. Now you may have to trim these corners a little bit. This one's actually nigh on perfect. You can see some foam from another install. You won't have this here. But this is going to wrap really well, so I'm just going to go ahead and carry on wrapping it around. So same technique though, just kind of apply some good pressure from the outside and then just bring it around. You can certainly use a squeegee as well to help out, but really fingers is what you need for this bit. And we're just going to keep working our way along. The great thing about doing this on Cybertruck is everything is so accessible. There's only really one blind fold that we have to take care of, but other than that it's pretty easy. Okay, so we're just going to work our way along. Okay, and then for this end, do be careful. I'm constantly paranoid about cutting my fingers off, so you know, when you've got your finger inside the door jamb, don't be holding the door. Don't have anyone else around you either, because I trust nobody. But we're just going to roll this around as best we can from the outside and come on the inside and just wrap it around. Easy access around here. Okay, just checking on the bottom here, that's all tacked in pretty good. Perfect. And close that up. So there you can see that looks really, really sharp. Now, a couple of things to note, or one thing to note, depending on your door alignment, this may not be perfectly aligned. You can maybe see this door is just a little bit lower than the back door. You know, welcome to the world of Cybertruck. So when I install this flex piece, I'm going to install it to line up with this, rather than sort of trying to line to any fold or anything else. You know, this is your foundation, everything else is set off of this. Okay, let's get this little front piece done. Okay, so this is part E. And for this bit, I recommend just sort of putting this off, just so you can get behind it a little bit. So we want to get this, let's get that in there a bit better. Okay, let's just pull this away. Give ourselves some more room there. Okay. So we're just going to place it on this top here, get that line set, and then run it down basically next to the trim. Squeegee for what it's worth, there's not much here. And we're going to open the door again. And then, as best you can, just roll this around. There's a rubber trim, a weather seal on the back here, so it should fit sort of adjacent or underneath it. And then just roll this bottom edge up. So this is a little difficult to get to, but it's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to push that back. Close the door. Looking good. All right, let's move on to the rear passenger door. Okay, so this is section G. You can see I've got my footprints all over it, which is handy. Okay. So this time I'm going to set it from this end first. And again, still hold it at this kind of 45 if you can, just to prevent it sticking too soon. But let's get that lined up nicely. And then just come along here and set that. And then bring my hand behind it. Get this top line in. And then grab your squeegee. Bring this down. Now I'm going to kind of intentionally screw this up a little bit, just so you can see how we recover. So up here, look at that, horrible. So big bubble, a lot of stress in the film. We want to avoid that at all times. So if you get this, just peel it back from the nearest area. So obviously for this is going to be this end. Just peel it back. And then place it back into the right spot. This is just a bit of adhesive that'll come off in a second. And keep working down. That's my footprint. Okay, and then I'm just going to push this over from outside first. The reason, of course, we have the edge wrap is we don't want any grit getting underneath it, eventually causing issues with the adhesion. Every Xpel product has what they call edge lock, so once it's locked at the edge, it shouldn't allow any ingress. But even so, it still doesn't hurt to have these wraps, especially for this area, because it's obviously a very dirty bit of the truck. So I'm looking at this, and I'm too high now on this piece here, so I'm actually going to peel this back. And I'm going to sort of try and steer it like this. There we go. So that's another example of where, if you just need a do-over, or you need to fix something, it's a very, 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 and as you can see now we're perfect, it's a very flexible product. I hate to say it, but I'm a little low on this side too, so I'm going to just steer this up a little bit. So put it back, just bring it up just a tad, get that locked in, bring this down. A little bit of a trapped air there, so geez. Well, I told you get all the mistakes on this bit, so but this just shows you how easy it is to recover. So I'm going to pull this one back as well, just to release that air there. There we go. If you find you've stretched it too much by doing all of this, and we'll find out in a minute, then you can just use some heat to reset the shape to what it was when it came off the roll. But we're actually going to be okay for this bit. Just bring that bit. There we go. Okay, so the mosquitoes are out. Okay, so we're going to open the door again. So you can see here, hopefully, we're a little too far this way for this piece. Now it doesn't matter, we don't have to reset it or anything. Just means you're probably going to just have to trim out that little tiny piece there, just so the fold is nice and tight, if you like. But let's get this rolled over first. Okay, yeah, let me go get some scissors real quick so I can show you that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just trim a little bit of this corner off like that. Then that'll roll over perfectly. Okay. And work our way along from the outside, just 'cause it's easier. And then just apply a bit of pressure on this end piece here, and then we'll come around the other side and just pull that round. Okay, then just make sure you got everything here, which we do. Close it up, take a step back, make sure everything looks aligned, which it does. So we've just got this last piece at the back here, which is section H. Okay, so you'll see on here you have this false trim here, which just kind of seals in the edge of the door jamb, but we can get underneath that, so that's no problem. So let's peel back section H. And same thing, we're going to, actually let me just put that down for a sec. We're going to pop this off, get that out of the way. And then we're going to line up on this left side here, pretty much to the edge of the trim. Find your squeegee, bring this down, Tuck it in underneath the trim if you need to, like so. Little tiny bubble stuck in the middle there, so I'm going to just peel that back. And then just stick that back down. Okay, so you've got this routine down now, just give that a roll over. This is thinner steel than the doors, not bulletproof of course, so a little easier to work with, but you're going to have to use your squeegee to get around this side and just tuck it under. So use the hard side of the squeegee just to get that under there, like so, with a nice sharp edge. And this is the one blind section, so you're just going to roll it over with your fingers. It's not that difficult to do, just a little tricky to get underneath there. But you want to try and make sure it's stuck all the way along. So just work your way along systematically until you got it. Pop this back in place. And there you have it. So that is how you install the lower door trims for the Cybertruck. Thanks for watching.